There is a very specific moment in modern life that almost no one talks about honestly. It is not failure, and it is not crisis. It is the quiet moment that arrives after you have done what you were supposed to do. After you worked, endured, optimized, improved, and reached a level of stability that once felt distant and desirable. You wake up one morning and nothing is wrong. Your life functions. The danger has passed. The bills are paid. The structure holds. And yet, something feels unexpectedly flat. You are not sad in the clinical sense. You are not depressed. There is simply a strange absence of weight. The ambition that once pulled you forward no longer has the same force. The future, which used to glow with promise or threat, now appears neutral. Time opens up, and instead of feeling free, you feel exposed. This is the void of modern success, and almost no one prepared you for it. Contemporary culture trained you to believe that meaning is something you accumulate. More income, more status, more control, more validation. The assumption was simple. If you reach a certain level, fulfillment will follow naturally. But the culture never stopped to ask what happens when the system works as intended. When survival is no longer the main concern, when the noise fades, when there is no immediate problem demanding your attention. What emerges in that silence is not peace, but confrontation. You are left alone with yourself. Friedrich Nietzsche understood this long before the modern world perfected comfort. He warned that the greatest danger was not suffering, but the quiet form of nihilism that appears when struggle disappears. Pain gives life a shape. Resistance provides direction. When those forces recede, the individual must face a far more difficult question. Why continue when there is nothing left to overcome? The void does not appear because you failed. It appears because you survived. For years, your identity was anchored to effort. You were becoming something. You were moving toward a point in the future where things would finally settle. That narrative carried you forward. But once you arrive, the narrative collapses. There is no clear next. Only time, unstructured and demanding meaning rather than productivity. Time without purpose feels heavy, not light. Albert Camus argued that human beings require a reason to rise each morning, even in a universe that offers no inherent answers. The modern version of success acts like a sedative rather than a solution. It reduces immediate anxiety, but it does not address the deeper question of why you are here once you no longer need to prove anything. The system promised fulfillment, but it only knew how to deliver comfort. Comfort, when it becomes permanent, numbs rather than nourishes. This is why so many outwardly successful people describe a peculiar emotional state. Not pain, but disconnection. Nothing hurts, yet nothing calls to them either. They move through days that are efficient but hollow. The absence of struggle reveals something unsettling. External achievements cannot generate internal meaning. When the chase ends, the silence becomes unavoidable. You are not broken. You are just awake. Most people respond to this awakening by trying to fill the space. More consumption. More stimulation. More projects chosen not out of conviction, but out of discomfort with stillness. But the void is not a container waiting to be filled. It is a signal. Nietzsche would call it the collapse of borrowed values. Camus would describe it as the moment one becomes conscious of the absurd. You have reached the point where externally assigned goals stop working, and that moment, while deeply unsettling, is not a failure. It is a transition. The void does not demand distraction. It demands honesty. It asks whether you are willing to live without the constant justification of progress. Whether you can tolerate a life that is not perpetually going somewhere. This is where many turn back, numbing themselves with noise, because sitting with that question requires more courage than ambition ever did. There is no dramatic resolution here. The void is not something you defeat or escape. It is something you integrate. The constant excitement does not return. Instead, something quieter emerges. Presence replaces urgency. Attention replaces ambition. You begin to live without a heroic storyline attached to every action. This does not make life smaller. It makes it real. Camus wrote that we must imagine Sisyphus happy, not because he loves the stone, but because he accepts his condition without illusion. The modern individual faces a similar task. Success did not betray you. It simply completed its role. What comes next is not a higher peak, but a deeper understanding. Slower, less visible, and far more demanding. You are not broken. You are just awake. And awakening always feels like this at first.